Welcome to Bull TV, where we're bullish on Collierville and the Mid-South. I'm your host, David Pickler. Bull TV is a monthly show that empowers, educates, and entertains while highlighting the people who inspire and deliver solutions for a stronger community. Bull TV is presented by Pickler Companies and is proudly produced by the students of Collierville High School. We invite you to watch our show at www.bulltv.show, thebullnetwork.com, and CHS-TV 19. New episodes air on the second Sunday of every month at 3 p.m. Central Time. On today's show, I sit down with Sean Lee, president of Porter-Leath, as the organization marks 175 years of serving children and families in the Mid-South. From expanding programs to building strong community partnership, his leadership has helped shape Porter-Leath's lasting impact. Join us as we explore its rich history, celebrate its incredible milestone, and discuss how you can be part of its mission for the future. Today I'm joined by Sean Lee. Sean Lee has committed his career to empowering children and families through his leadership at Porter-Leath, which is celebrating 175 years of service. Since joining the organization in 1997, he has been a catalyst for its growth, helping Porter-Leath support over 40,000 families in the past year alone. A Philadelphia native, and I'll try not to hold that against you as a Cowboys fan. Sean grew up in the Mid-South and earned a Bachelor's of Business Administration from the University of Memphis. He began his tenure at Porter-Leath as the organization's first Director of Human Resources before being promoted to President in 2005. Under his leadership, the organization has expanded its services while maintaining a reputation for quality care and accountability. Now in his 28th year with the organization, Sean remains driven by his passion for strengthening communities and creating opportunities for children and families to thrive. Sean, thank you for joining us on Bull TV.
Thank you, David. It's a real honor to be here today, and as an alum of Collierville High, it's great to be at CHS. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Well, you know, I guess the school that you graduated from probably looks a little different.
A little bit different back then, but this is a wonderful place to be, and I'm glad to be with you today.
Fantastic. Now, I have to ask, what graduating class were you for CHS?
1991, the best class ever.
Of course it's the best class ever. Now, was that in the historic old building, or was that at the old middle school?
It was. It was on the campus at Poplar. There.
Very good.
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful the way they've restored that facility, and I guess now it's been turned over to the town of Collierville.
Yeah, it's neat to see the changes and the growth, and this school is remarkable, and this program is remarkable, so I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. So we always begin our program with the same question. So here's your opportunity. In 3 words, who is Sean Lee?
Well, I appreciate being tipped off in advance that this might be a question, and I thought about it coming over, and I guess the first one would be strategic. I'm somebody that's always trying to think 3 steps ahead. I try to play chess instead of checkers, and that can be really good in my professional life, and not so good maybe in the personal life when you're planning a trip to Lowe's and you're thinking about plotting it out. My wife says, can we please just go to Lowe's? So strategic. Organized is the second one. I think my team might say neat freak, but my workload is such that I like to be able to be efficient and get through the day and know where things are. So you might walk in my office and it looks like a showroom a little bit, but everything has a place, and so I'm very organized.
That's good.
And last, maybe genuine. What you see is what you get. I don't change for people or for situations, and I try to be even keel, not put on airs, and just try to be good to people and genuine as genuine as I could be.
Well, that's fantastic. And that really leads us into our second question. We talk about your leadership philosophy, and and how many employees do y'all have at Porter-Leath now?
About 325 right now.
325.
Yeah.
So that genuineness, I can imagine, really is a very, very important characteristic. But talk to us a little bit more about your philosophy of leadership.
Yeah, I didn't coin it, but I use what we call the upside down pyramid with our leadership team. So in most organizations, you think of the president being at the top of the pyramid, and we try to flip that upside down. And so my job is to support the senior team and help them be successful. So push skills, push whatever knowledge I have, training, development, resources to them so that they can do the same with their staff. And at the top of our pyramid is the families. And so we want the staff to be doing the same, to develop them and to push forward. So it really helps us stay humble, and it helps us relate to our team. I'm a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, since you brought it up, and the great Super Bowl winning coach Nick Sirianni said, you can't be great without the greatness of others. And I thought that really fits into our leadership at Porter-Leath, that we want to be at the bottom of the pyramid helping others be great, and that makes us great eventually.
Well, we live in a world that we've got to be very careful about how we interact with the employees. So I'm assuming that there's no tush push going on at Porter-Leath.
No tush push. A very professional environment, but very casual. I like the culture there. It's really that's what's kept me so long. The people that I work with are remarkable, and I feel like we've grown up together. When I started there, I had just gotten married, didn't have kids, had just bought my first house, and me and my teammates have been there so long that we're like family, and so it really feels like that, and we try to express that to everybody that comes through the door. So I think that's what makes us special.
It's interesting. You were the second person I've heard in the last week that's actually now quoting Nick Sirianni, and I remember probably not more than a year ago that he was kind of on the hot seat there in Philadelphia, and no one was quoting him. Yeah. And all it takes is one Super Bowl, and all of a sudden he becomes a wise soothsayer out there.
I think it's a good lesson in culture building. I think I watched that first press conference where he talked about flowers growing, and you kind of went, what the heck is he talking about? But I think just like any organization, you really have to sort of plant a flag and say, this is what's important to me, and this is the way we're going to do things. Culture isn't about what you say, it's about how it really is.
Exactly.
And so I can tell you, Porter-Leath's a family, and it's a wonderful place, but if you walk in the door and don't get that feeling. And so I think Nick was able to create a culture, and I think it's a good lesson for anybody that's in leadership.
Well, that's great. Well,
go Birds.
Again, as a long time Cowboys fan, then I will try to endure the next few minutes.
I married a Cowboys fan, so it was
did.
A tough time.
So you have a house divided.
A house divided, but she's a good sport. She even put on an Eagles jersey for the day, and so it was a good time.
My gosh, she put on an Eagles jersey? Oh, my goodness.
She's a great woman.
Well, I do have to admit, when they played the Patriots a few years ago, that I kind of rooted for the Eagles that day.
Okay, good man.
But so I guess we can all learn to get along, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we talk about influence. You talk about Sirianni. Talk to me a little bit about who have been, your most significant, your biggest mentors or influences in your life.
I always say that everybody I come across is a mentor to me, because I think either way they're teaching me what not to do or what to do. Mm-hmm. And so I've had both. I think my first mentors and biggest are my parents. My dad was blue collar, worked as a printing pressman. He worked 7 days a week. He had 7 kids to raise.
Oh, my goodness.
My mom stayed at home with us. And so the two of them really taught me about work ethic. My mom taught me how to stretch a dollar and be efficient, which comes into great play running a nonprofit. And so they're really remarkable. And my wife is a great mentor. She keeps me balanced. I'm the calm, boring one. She's the exciting person, and so she's a great person and somebody that kind of keeps me on track. And then in business, everybody I come across, they're people I walk out of a meeting and say, you just taught me what not to do. And so I think everybody can be a mentor when you're thinking about leadership, and you got to figure out what works for you and take the good and leave the bad.
There you go. Well, and I think it's so important that organization reflect your leadership style, your personality, and having been around a lot of the great people at Porter-Leath, then in a very positive manner, I think it really does.
That's great. That's
So
what we want to hear.
that's what you want to hear. Well, we have now talked about this company. I mean, this organization, Porter-Leath, a few times here. But I think it's time for us to really share with the viewers, those who
Great.
may not be aware of the incredible legacy of Porter-Leath and what it does and how it supports its community. So, if you would, tell us the story of Porter-Leath.
Yes, so this is our 175th year, and we started in 1850 as an orphanage. Prior to us opening, if you were a child that maybe your parents passed or they left you behind, there was no place to go. It was very Charles Dickens-like. And so a local judge, Judge Pettit, got together with some ladies of the community, including a lady named Sarah Leath, which is half of our name. And he said, I'll find you a place if you'll get the cook stove and the beds and the things that we need. And so they set out and they did that. And we opened on Exchange Street between 2nd and 3rd downtown.
Okay.
And that was our humble start. And they started taking kids off the street. And the problem was Memphis was a river town. And so these river boats would pull up and the men would come off the boats, the brothels would open. And she said, I got to get them out of the city. So we moved all the way to the suburbs at Chelsea and Manassas in about 1854. So that was really our story, was on that campus as an orphanage. We made it through the Civil War, 2 World Wars, the Yellow Fever pandemic, Great Depression, and just really resilient, sticking with it. And in the 1960s, we, as orphanages started to go away, as states started to support foster kids, we started doing foster care in group homes. And so we did that for about another 30 years until we started learning about early childhood education, the brain science around how do we put ourselves out of business in foster care. And so that's when Porter-Leath started shifting to things like working with pregnant moms and dads and helping them have a healthy birth and helping them be their child's first teacher. And that led to opening up a preschool. Our very first was in 2000, and that grew. And so today we have over 1,000 children in our preschools. We don't just serve low-income families, we serve any family. Mm-hmm. So the wealthiest family in Memphis can come and be in our preschool, and we think that's beautiful because you learn from people who are different than you.
That question.
And so we teach early childhood teachers how to be great teachers. We work with child care centers to help them have the kind of quality and expertise that we have. And so when you're 175, you sort of start doing things and you learn to do them well. And Porter-Leath served about 40,000 children this past year, and that's in Shelby and Fayette as well as DeSoto. So it really is a story about grit and grind, I guess you would, before the Grizzlies got here, just sticking with it and being resilient. And we're really proud of all the things that we do and the results that we get.
Wow. Well, I remember my first exposure to Porter-Leath was when I had the honor of being the chairman of the old Shelby County Board of Education. Yes. And worked with prior leader, Mike Warr, mm-hmm. and y'all were doing a bike program.
Yep.
And I remember that we organized and donated several hundred bikes, mm-hmm. and found someone who would actually do the repair, yep. and things of that nature. And so, but I've always felt Porter-Leath with a little bit of a hidden gem.
Thank you.
That it doing an amazing job, but a lot of people weren't even really aware that yeah. y'all existed.
Yeah.
And I know that that both Mike and you have been doing a great job of building that awareness, and it's just incredible. Now, you've been with Porter-Leath now for 28 years.
That's right.
What was the thing that first drew you to join the organization and build your career there?
It was probably accidental is the best word. I went to the University of Memphis. I majored in business, and I thought that was my career path. And my first grown-up job was at Graceland. I actually started there, my first ever job in high school at Collierville. I was a cashier in the gift shops. Okay. And so I stayed there. It was a wonderful
Taking care of business.
Yeah, taking care of business in a flash. And that was great. And then I started working in the corporate office at Graceland in human resources, and that was wonderful. But it just didn't give me that passion, that drive. They were great people. They taught me so much, but it was time to try something different. So I talked to my wife about this opportunity at this place I'd never heard of. I had to look it up. And I went and talked to them, and immediately I felt like this is where I needed to be. So I went home. I told my wife, just give me 3 years. Let me work this out of my system, and I'll get back to business. And so 3 became 5, became 10, and now they're going to have to drag me out of this place, I guess, someday. But it really was a story about just follow what your heart says, follow what your passion says, and when you find it, then you'll never work another day again. And that's how I feel.
Well, I have to tell the audience that I'm not completely unbiased about this. I've had the honor of serving on the board of trustees
Yes.
for Porter-Leath for several years, and I say that because one of the things that has become a wonderful part of the board meetings, the trustee meetings, have been the meaning moments, and which you begin by sharing these amazing stories. I know that as part of the 175th anniversary, you're trying to capture those type of meaning moments and hopefully capture at least 175 great stories. If you could share a defining moment from your time at Porter-Leath that really solidified your passion, maybe your meaning moment.
Yeah, I think for me, I think back to when I got to Porter-Leath. I had a business background. I wasn't a social worker. I wasn't a teacher. And now I'm the HR director, and I don't know what we do exactly. And so I went and set out to work a shift in every department that we had.
Okay.
And I remember working at our shelter. It's called Sarah's Place. It's a 24-hour, 24-bed shelter for foster children. And I remember I worked the night shift, the day shift, the swing shift. And when that was done, it just really changed my thoughts about you think, oh, Porter-Leath does good work and I want to be a part of it. But now you see that you're changing the trajectory of a child's life and probably their child's life and then their grandchild. And so that really spoke to me about, my why and why I'd gone there. And so we call it the ripple effect. If we can change one child and one family and get them moving in the right direction, we know that that's going to have payback for years to come. And so that was really the moment that I said I had made the right choice, because it was a tough place. We only had 40 employees. That orphanage building was a leaky old drafty building, and I was used to something different. So it was really
But it was a home,
a culture shock. Yeah. And that told me, stick with this. This is why you're here, and that's what put me on the path.
Well, again, I know that you shared a story with us, our last meeting, about a story of a young man, who was staying in one of those foster homes.
Yeah.
And the opportunity, again, to change his life.
Yeah.
And it's so meaningful. Well, let's talk about 175 years. I mean, that's incredible. What an amazing achievement. What does this milestone mean to you and to the organization? 175.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that. Being old doesn't make you good. Being good makes you good. And so what we're trying to do is celebrate the legacy that we have, but really focus on the future. That, yes, we've done great work, but we know Memphis has a lot of challenges, and we got to plug in and make sure that we're continuing to innovate, continuing to expand. We don't just grow to grow. The size of our organization doesn't matter to us. We don't mind. We could be the smallest nonprofit in town as long as the child and family in front of us is getting what they need. So that's really been our focus is let's celebrate the past, but look to the future and make sure that we're continuing to drive results.
Well, you certainly have had an amazing past, but I think the future has so many cool opportunities. But let's continue to talk about this. You talked a little bit about the history of Porter-Leath and how it's evolved. So tell me a little bit about how you actually are celebrating the 175th. Some of the things that are going on.
Yeah, so we got a lot of fun things planned for the year. We've got our Raging Cajun Festival, which a lot of people don't know. That's a big.
So what is the Raging Cajun?
So that's April 27th. It's a festival we've been doing for many years, and it's a fundraiser for Porter-Leath. It's down on the river at Riverside Drive, 11 to 7. It's free to get in. Okay. We'd love to have people come out, whether you like crawfish or not. There's great music, great fun, and it's really a great, kind of the first festival of the springtime.
Okay.
But we're going to do a birthday celebration there. We've got we have a box that was buried at Porter-Leath 41 years ago that we're going to open and see what's in there to celebrate.
Hopefully not a minute cheese sandwich.
Maybe not. We don't know what's in there, but we're going to open that. We're going to have some proclamations and do some birthday things for the kids, so come out to that. But throughout the year, we're going to have different events. It's all leading up to our actual birthday, which is October 1st. We're moving the bridge to be orange that day, so it's Go Orange for Porter-Leath Day. As a U of M grad, that's the only time I'll wear orange instead of my tiger blue. But
So tell me,
orange is
how
our
did
corporate
orange
color.
become the color for Porter-Leath?
That's a great question. I'm sure I made that decision at some point along the way, and I probably didn't think about my tiger roots when I did it, but it'll be Go Orange that day. We hope everybody will wear orange and take some pictures, and we're going to light the bridge up and kind of have a birthday party. But we're also going to have a conference that we're going to be a part of where we talk about the value of early childhood education and why those investments are important. And so we really have lots of fun things throughout the year. We want to capture 175 stories, and we're well on our way. So if viewers know somebody that stayed at Porter-Leath, or they've had an experience, or that you used to work there, we'd love to hear from you and share those stories out, because it really is a great legacy, and we want people to know the difference that we've made.
You know, I'm going to, for just a second, kind of get on my soapbox a little bit,
Sure.
because having had a long history in public education especially, I've always believed that one of the biggest issues affecting our community, especially in underserved communities and communities where the socioeconomic levels are lower, that one of the true problems that came from those areas is a lack of quality pre-kindergarten experiences.
Yeah.
In so many cases, the children, when they show up for kindergarten, and you've got great teachers all throughout all the districts here that are there in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. But in so many cases, that you have children that show up for kindergarten, they've never been read to. They've never been given that quality pre-kindergarten experience. And in so many cases, they're already behind, and in far too many cases, they give up by the time that they're third, fourth, fifth grade.
Yeah.
Even though they may not drop out for a number of years, we've already lost them.
Yeah.
And so what you do and what early childhood education can be such a great equalizer.
Yeah, a lot of what we do, David, is working to get the upstream right. We're getting children ready for kindergarten, but then we're handing them off to the school district or a charter school, and it's very important that we partner with them and get them going in the right direction.
Correct.
Because third grade reading is the milestone we're really trying to work on at Porter-Leath, and we don't serve third graders. Because in third grade, you make the shift from learning to read to reading to learn.
Correct.
And so we really need to help make sure school districts hit that by making sure in pre-K that children are working on phonics and their social emotional well-being and language and literacy. And so that's really what our push is to hand them off to a school district that's going to take that fight and make sure that kids are learning. Right now in our county, only about a fourth of children hit that third grade reading mark like they should, and we've got to get that moving in the right direction, because if you don't make that shift in third grade, you're 4 times less likely to graduate high school. And so a lot of what we do is sort of priming the pump, and we want to partner with Memphis Shelby County Schools and charters and anybody that we're feeding our 1,000 children in, and make sure that they continue the work that we've started, and that we get these children and their families on a path to lifelong success.
Well, it is such an important thing, and you talked about the incredibly positive thing about being on track in third grade. There's also we talk about the challenges of Memphis. We often talk about the crime issue, and I'm sure you're aware of this. But for many years, the criminal justice system, the prison construction industry have been tracking those third grade literacy rates to determine how many prison beds.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, if you're not on track, then you're far more likely to lead a life that does not achieve our more aspirational opportunities. And so again, it's so important. It's such a game changer for a community.
It is a game changer, and we have to continue to invest. We think, we know that our schools aren't daycares. This isn't watching kids. This is teaching and educating. And we have also started a project called Next Memphis, because we've been doing early childhood for so long that we realized we can't serve everyone. So now Next Memphis is working with child care centers around town. Technically, I guess you could think of them as our competitors, but at no cost to them, we bring them in to teach them the things we've learned over the years, to support them. We have observation rooms in our schools where they can come in and just sit and learn. And we really have to get in this together. And so that was kind of our way of making sure that we're helping drive these results. We work with great partners like First State Memphis and Seeding Success, and it really is a great community working on this, but we have to dig in and we have to kind of keep at it. And once we get those numbers moving in the right direction and doing better after the pandemic, I feel like it's going to make a lifelong change for Memphis.
Well, I hope so. You know, for so many years, unfortunately, we had a culture of what I refer to as drive-by daycare.
Yeah.
And children need that structure. They need the resources. They need to be read to.
Yeah.
They need to have those experiences. And if we invest there, then maybe we won't have to invest in some of the other things that we do in our community. So
there's great operators, David. There's home child care. There's great centers. There's school-based. There's charters. There's Shelby County Schools. And so there is a lot of collaboration and work. And you know, I mentioned the pandemic. You know, a lot of these kids that are you know, leaving to go to kindergarten, those were pandemic babies. These are kids that were coming along and dealing with the post stress of that, and wore masks in school and tried to do some online work in preschool, which doesn't work very well. So we really have to keep supporting them, and don't forget about the families. You know, we need to tune in with them, and we try to do everything holistically. Every family that works that is at Porter-Leath gets a family liaison, basically a social worker that's supporting them. So it's all hands on deck, and I think that's how we change Memphis, is if we get more and more children entering kindergarten ready to learn and hitting that third grade reading level.
I love it. Now, you talked about the partnerships, and I believe you have a partnership with Millington Schools as well.
We've worked with Millington. We work with Bartlett. If anybody's out there, we'd love to work with Collierville and any community
All right,
in Shelby
you hear that,
County.
Collierville?
Come on. We don't have to be the end-all be-all. We can help you with your child care center or your preschool. We can help operate it. We just really think that every community needs high-quality child care and preschool, so that kids are heading off to school ready to learn.
I love it. So what is your hope that all the activities around the anniversary, you know, what is your hope in terms of how that will bring more awareness to Porter-Leath's mission?
Yeah, I think you said earlier, I think everybody in town has probably heard of Porter-Leath. But then if you say, well, what exactly does Porter-Leath do? They go, oh, that's that old orphanage, right? And so we'd love to use this year to help inform the community so they know that we have foster homes. So if somebody's listening and wants to, has thought about fostering, they can give us a call and we'll support them through that. We need volunteers. We have preschools throughout the neighborhoods of Memphis, and we could use help there. And so we're really hoping to leverage this events like today and throughout the year to let people know what Porter-Leath does, what's important to us, what we value, and if our worlds align, we'd love them to join the team and be a part of the success we're trying to get for family.
Again, it's not a zero-sum game.
No.
Well, I know that you have great pride for being at the helm, even though you talked about the upside down pyramid. But what is the thing that you're most proud of when you look at the journey that Porter-Leath has been on over the years?
Yeah, I take personal pride in the people that we've developed, both the families, the children. You mentioned earlier our mission moments that we have where we hear from former foster children that say, hey, I went off to the military and I made Master Sergeant and I had a great career. Or somebody says, hey, we had a foster child recently that went to NYU and
wow,
has blossomed and been wonderful. And our first school, those were infants back in 2000. They're now having children and they've graduated college. And so I think that's what we're most proud of, is the results. It's the people we've built. It's the legacy of service that they'll continue to give back. And we want to keep that going.
There we go. Now, you talked a little bit about a convening that you want to really use the opportunity to talk about, not just celebrating the past, but really looking as we go forward. Can you give us a little more details about what your objectives, what your aspiration is for this type of convening?
Yeah, we want to continue to educate, like we've talked about. There's a conference coming up, details to come.
Okay.
I don't have a date yet that I can share, but Porter-Leath will be a part of that with others like First State Memphis, and we want to talk about where we're headed as a community, why it's important to hit that third grade reading, how people can get involved, and it's not just about Porter-Leath. We're proud of our birthday, but it's really about celebrating that, talking to our elected officials to thank them. Our Shelby County Commission has been remarkable, and the City Council is involved and remarkable. And so educating our state officials, doing advocacy. Right now there's a lot of dialogue about cutting spending, and nonprofits know about efficiency, and we want efficient government, but not all spending is bad spending. Early childhood education is a 1 to 8 ROI. So you're getting that money back down the road with less special education and less supports that children need along the way. So we want to advocate. We want to talk about the next few years, next 10 years. In fact, Porter-Leath's getting ready to develop a new vision statement, which will be kind of a statement on where we want to go in early childhood. So that's one of the events we're doing this year. And so we're wordsmithing that right now, and we'll release that soon. So it's really about convening and getting everybody together on the same mission to get as many children as we can on that third grade reading path.
I love it. I love it. So we talked about all the cool things that are going on. We talked about the anniversary. Now, as a not-for-profit, and I know that especially in the aftermath of COVID, there's been an awful lot of not-for-profits who have been really challenged financially because of what's been going on. What would you say are some of the biggest needs that you have at Porter-Leath right now?
Well, every nonprofit needs time, talent, and treasure.
Okay.
And so from a time commitment, volunteers to come into the classroom, to read to children, to mentor. We have lots of programs that we have programs for seniors, 55 and up, which I'm close to that, so I don't think I'm a senior, but I think that's pretty young. But if people want to come participate in some of our programming, they can do that, where they go back into the schools and help teach and be involved. I mentioned volunteer school groups, Boy Scouts, things like that. We'd love to entertain that. From a talent standpoint, serving on our board or being engaged. If you're in a trade and you want to help us in some way, we always, that makes us more efficient with our funding. And treasure, of course, every nonprofit needs that. We say
you still are accepting donations.
We'll take your money, David, if you got some.
Okay.
But we can only do what the community supports. So the community decides which nonprofits thrive, because we do the work and we have to educate. And if that matches with people's interests, then that's when we get support. And so time, talent, treasure, and advocacy, like I mentioned, spreading the word. Hopefully people maybe learned something watching today, and they'll share that with somebody else and explain how important it is. Foster families, I mentioned that. So really,
well, let's give them a little more detail. So,
okay.
if I'm someone who is interested, we got the Mid-South community all listening. How can they get involved? So, what do they need to do?
They can go to our website, porterleath.org.
Okay.
I'll also give my email, slee@porterleath.org.
Okay, personal email, guys.
I answer my own email, and I'm prompt and organized, remember. But I'd love to talk to anybody that has a story. If you've heard something that you want to get involved in today, we'd love to chat and get you connected to the right people.
Perfect. All right. So again, if you have someone that's listening to this right now, and you were part of the Porter-Leath family, you stayed at one of the homes, you did something, we want to hear your story.
Yeah.
And reach out to you, let that know. If you're interested in volunteering, serving on the board, making a donation, of time, talent, or treasure, God bless.
Yeah, we have a short online survey that they can do, and they can be anonymous if they just want to share their story and say, hey, I don't want press or media. We're using those stories for self-motivation. We're sharing those with staff. But some people that want to share the story, we'd love to publish that, and so that people know the success they've had with their life because of what Porter-Leath did for them.
That's good stuff. So, 175 years, great legacy, but we're excited about the future. So what does that next chapter look like for Porter-Leath?
I think more of the same, what's working. One of the things that I think in our history that we've been smart about is data. A lot of nonprofits will kind of talk about from the heart, the good work that they do, but we work really hard to prove the results that we have. And so we want to stay on that path to make sure we've done research, we've done evaluation, so that when I talk to you about the support we give to child care centers, I can also tell you the change that's happened because of that. So we want to continue that. We've got a couple of grants that we've written that we're excited about the potential, and if we get those grants in, I think Memphis is going to really move forward in a positive way, and so we're crossing our fingers
So
for that.
keep watching.
Keep watching.
Maybe some big announcements coming from Porter-Leath very soon.
We hope. We'll see. It's very competitive, but we've put our best foot forward, and we think we've got a lot to offer in the early childhood space.
So you spent 28 years in leadership for Porter-Leath.
I did.
So what advice would you give for someone who wants to make their meaningful impact in the not-for-profit world?
I'd say come on. One of the things for me, it was a little scary to be sitting there interviewing at a place that I thought, oh, nonprofits, you can't have a career here. You're not going to be able to buy a house, the wages, all the things that
Vows
people
of chastity
say.
and poverty.
Yeah, and that's just not true. Nonprofits have been very competitive now. We hire people in our finance office, for example, from big employers in town,
Mm-hmm.
and not because they're bad employers. It's just this was a better fit for
Mm-hmm.
them. So I'd say give it a try. We need all the business people and all the social workers and teachers we can get on this journey. And so I'd say come visit with us, take a tour of the schools, try it out, volunteer first.
Mm-hmm.
Find a nonprofit that aligns with your why and your passion, and then start asking them, hey, what kind of jobs you got?
Well, just listening to you talk, I mean, I'm even more motivated. And I was already excited about Porter-Leath.
I'll take your resume today, David, if you're ready. Come on.
Oh, come on.
We'll have you.
So what keeps you motivated? What keeps you excited to continue this passion that you have for Porter-Leath and the work that you guys do?
Yeah, for me, it's really the people. I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but man, we have some great people that we work with, and I walk in the door, and it's just from the reception desk to the housekeeper to senior staff. It's just a wonderful culture, and the results that we're getting. I'm looking at reports that show the change that we're making with children, and I talk to families constantly. I'm out visiting our schools and whatnot, and they come up and they think I've done it all. Oh, thank you, Mr. Lee. And it's a lot of pride, and I think the innovation, we're designing some programs right now that we may launch in the future, and it's just fun to think about the change that you can make with these things that we're coming up with. So for me, I'm not done yet. Like I said, they're going to have to drag me out because I think the future is really bright, not just for Porter-Leath, but for Memphis. I'm big on Memphis. I think we can keep moving things forward in a positive way. We have a lot of challenges, but Porter-Leath loves being in the trenches to help solve some of these issues.
Well, I think what Porter-Leath does, and especially this entire impact on early childhood education, can be, as we say, a game changer. It can be such a catalyst for Memphis achieving the enormous potential that I've always believed that we have. We had Bill Donovan from the Chamber of Commerce on a couple of months ago, and Bill's, of course, an unabashed ambassador for the city of Memphis and the work that's going on in the business development. But one of the things that we've always known is that we've got to have that workforce that can do, and a huge part of developing that workforce is giving these kids a solid foundation to start from.
Yeah.
And that certainly seems that's exactly what is happening at Porter-Leath.
Who are going to be the bankers and the pilots and the workers at the utilities, and if we don't invest now? And so we've got to build those skills. By age 5, 80% of your brain is developed versus 20% when you're born. So you've got this short window of opportunity, and
to have an impact.
That's the exciting part of early childhood, is you get to make those neurons connect in positive ways, and that's going to pay off down the road.
I love it. So you've talked about the work at Porter-Leath. You've talked about a little bit about yourself. What does success look like for Sean Lee?
Personally, I think for me, it's always been about balance. I've got two great kids, and so I want to be super dad to them. One's getting married this weekend, and
Oh my
so that's
goodness.
exciting. So for me, it's balance. I'm really proud of my professional life, but making sure that my kids think I'm a hero, and that my wife thinks I'm a good husband. I have 6 siblings, that they think I'm a good brother.
Okay.
And so for me, that's really important. And then professionally, it's, I hope that I'm making change in the space that I'm in and the time that I'm here. And I kind of measure based on the results that we get. A good report makes me feel great, and that I've done the job. And a report that's not so good, I want to turn that around and make it better.
There we go.
So that's sort of my benchmark for success.
Well, we started this program with you announcing that you are a proud alum of Collierville High
I
School. So
am.
since we are here filming inside of this beautiful new Collierville High School building, what message would you have to the students of CHS when it comes to leadership?
I would say that remember that you don't have to have a title to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
You can lead from the side, you can lead from behind, you don't have to be in front to have good character, to be accountable, to do all the things that a leader needs to be. You can put your stamp on something no matter what role you're in. I would say always do that little something extra.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was always taking on a little project here or a little project there, not complaining. Whatever the expectation is, do slightly more than that or a lot more than that. That's how you get noticed. Stay involved, stay engaged, and really finding your niche, finding your why, and connecting. Try new things, and don't give up on it.
I love it. Yeah, I love what you said about doing that little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've all heard the story about at 211 degrees, water's hot.
Yeah.
But you add that extra 1%,
There it is.
that extra 1 degree, and all of a sudden, you've got boiling water, you've got energy, you've got that catalyst,
Yeah.
and doing that, then that little something extra, so
Yeah.
important. So, first of all, thank you for being a part. This has been amazing. But I do want to ask one last question.
Sure.
When you reflect on your career, and when you get towards the end, many years from now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you hope would be the legacy for Sean Lee?
Well, from a career standpoint, I really hope that the ripple effect is in full gear. I hope that, remember in the pyramid, I'm building others, and I
Mm-hmm.
hope that the team that I work with, when I'm gone, they're in my seat, and I hope that they're continuing some of the positive things that maybe I've shown them, taught them. I hope some of the programs that we've started last a long time and make a big change for Memphis. I hope that in 175 more years, there's somebody celebrating the work that we did way back when. And I have high hopes for our city and our county and our region. And so I hope someday somebody says, Sean made a change there.
That'd be an amazing legacy, wouldn't it?
It would be wonderful.
Sean, I want to thank you again for joining us. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so proud of of what you do and what the work is done by everyone who's involved with Porter-Leath. It is an amazing jewel in our community, and I think it can be such an incredible catalyst for the future of our community. So thank you very much for what you do.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for what you do for Memphis and our county and Collierville and Porter-Leath. We're grateful for you.
Sean, thank you for joining us today and sharing Porter-Leath's incredible 175-year journey. Your dedication to shaping a brighter future for children and family in the Mid-South is truly inspiring. We appreciate your commitment to this community and the lasting difference you and Porter-Leath continue to make every day. Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. John F. Kennedy. Before any great things are accomplished, a memorable change must be made in the system of education to raise the lower ranks of society near to the higher. President John Adams. For more than 40 years, I've been a steadfast advocate for education as the cornerstone of our democracy. I have long believed that our American experiment in representative democracy to long endure, we must embrace our responsibility to educate all our citizens. Democracy demands an educated citizenry. Education is far more than just a civil right. It's a national imperative. The future of our nation will be largely dependent on our ability to prepare our children for global competitiveness and engaged citizenship. Unfortunately, our nation has largely failed in this quest to ensure that all of our children are receiving the education necessary to fulfill our potential. Like virtually every other democracy in the world, we have often fallen short in educating our poorest and most at-risk children. While public education should be the great equalizer, socioeconomic status has become one of the most important indicators of academic success. This is especially true in America's urban areas where the combination of disintegrating nuclear families, fractured communities, and generational poverty have served as overwhelming obstacles for student success. In these economically challenged and underserved communities, one resource has been a beacon of hope and possibility: quality pre-kindergarten education. Research and experience have proven that providing children with quality pre-kindergarten education, and especially promoting reading and early literacy, are game changers for children. Unfortunately, far too many communities are not providing their most at-risk populations with the lifelines that could transform their lives. This pervasive culture of drive-by daycare can doom the educational prospects for economically challenged children. I believe that any society should be judged by how they treat their most vulnerable populations. Our children deserve better than what we are currently providing for them. One shining example of the power of early childhood services in education is Porter-Leath. For nearly 175 years, Porter-Leath has been the primary resource for children and family in the Mid-South. Not only do they promote the essential building blocks of healthy development, but their commitment to children and families has inspired hope and the power of the possible for generations of underserved children. Porter-Leath has provided the essential services that is building the foundation for a stronger community. As President Kennedy so eloquently stated, our children represent the best hopes for our future. In order that such a future be realized, we must invest in our children and ensure that every child be given the resources that can empower them to overcome the legacy of poverty, to achieve their unique potential. Our education system must be willing to change, to adapt, and to innovate so that we can creatively address the historic challenges of urban education and systemic poverty, so we can achieve the vision of President John Adams. With a shining example of organizations like Porter-Leath, we can change the narrative, ensure that no child is overlooked, and achieve the greatness that can be America. Thank you, Sean Lee, for your dedication to the ideals of early childhood education. Your leadership is an inspiring example of the best of our community. God bless your work and the tireless efforts of every Porter-Leath staff member and community volunteer. You are all my heroes. And that is my 2 cents. Until next time, I'm your host, David Pickler. Thank you for watching Bull TV, where together we deliver solutions for a stronger community.